Welcome back to Switzer. Recently, regulators have had a lot to say about self-managed super funds, and ASIC has suggested that the minimum balance for a self-managed super fund should be $500,000. So what is an acceptable balance? For more, I'm joined by Olivia Long from Xpress Super and John Felsch from Australian Group Insurnaces. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, let's start with you first, Olivia. For people who don't know, what is Xpress Super?
Okay, Xpress Super, SMSF administration service.
Yeah.
Free SMSF establishment, $7.99 per annum,
Yeah.
accounting, tax, admin and audit.
You're kidding. So for $7.99, the whole box and dice?
Absolutely.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So let's ask the question then around the balance, because I often use $3,000 as a sort of payment between either an administration service or an accountant. Some accountants charge you more than that, as we all know.
Yes.
But if we're going to work on $7.99, what do you think is an acceptable balance for a self-managed super fund?
Okay, well, let's start by reminding people that the Cooper Review, which was published in 2010, specifically ruled out a minimum balance as a requirement for SMSF.
No, that's fair.
So, and that was a pretty extensive review into the superannuation system. These days, people tend to say, approximately 1% of your fund balance. So if we're basing it on 1% and we're getting providers such as Xpress Super coming out that are providing a service for $7.99, are we saying therefore that anyone could establish a fund from about $80,000 and upwards? Who's to say? Personally, I think people are spending too much time focusing on what the cost is and not what the rate of return is. Now, APRA stats revealed that in the 10-year period to 30 June 2012, the average rate of return for retail funds was just 3.4%. 3.4%.
Yeah. What about self-managed super funds?
Self-managed super funds, less easy to clarify, but they have certainly outperformed the alternate.
Well, I actually heard they were 3%
year.
better than the retail funds.
Did you?
That's what I heard. We actually covered it on my radio show last week, which is quite staggering.
There you go.
Yeah, but it was actually in that Rice Warner report.
As an average, but then you get others who have significantly outperformed that.
Yeah,
so.
and underperformed as well. But that happens in this caper. Rightio. Okay, so I always use the view that if it cost you $3,000, and that was before you guys came on the scene with a better price, and you had 300,000 in your super, that's a 1%. And that's better than most retail funds, and it's around what industry funds are charging. So that was a good starting point. But you're right, if you can drive your costs down to $1,000 or $800, as you're saying, well, you could have 80,000. But I still would like a little bit more in there. I've got to say, quite personally. You agree? All right. So John, one of the big issues that I get as a financial planner, people say, well, I'm in a pretty ordinary fund, but the insurance is really good. When I go into self-managed super fund, what do I do with my insurance? So I often say, well, once you keep a bit of money in that fund, at least access that insurance. But you're obviously in the insurance game. What do you say?
We've developed a product specifically for self-managed super fund members.
Yeah.
Now, it's unique in the market. It's incredibly well priced. It has a whole range of different insurance benefits, including income protection, which you can have outside your fund if you wish. It is the only true online product available. And there is a bit of a misconception here, and there's a lot of talk about what ASIC is saying under this paper, but if you look at what's happening with the APRA funds, some of them have had horrific rate increases.
Insurance premium
rates.
increases.
For example, Australian Super went up 48%. Rest has gone up a similar amount.
This is a cost that's taking out off your return, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
But I did some benchmarking again this morning, and our rates are actually cheaper than some of these APRA-regulated funds. So to say that you can get cheaper insurance in an APRA fund is actually false.
Well, the point is that it was economies of scale was always the point. Of course, you got 1 million people in Australian super, therefore they should be able to buy insurance cheaper.
Right.
When you leave and operate by yourself and you go knock on the door of ANP and say, I want some insurance, well, you're a one-off player, so you pay more. So I guess you're trying to aggregate all the people in self-managed super funds so you can buy better. That's
correct.
Right.
Now, the other thing is the APRA funds have, if anything, done themselves a disservice insofar as they have almost forced the insurance companies to offer extremely low rates. The funds have been offering extremely high automatic acceptance levels.
Yeah.
some of the life companies didn't buy adequate reinsurance, and now the claims are coming back. And this is why their rates are going up. Now, if we can maintain our rates, and our claims experience to date has been very good, our rates will be actually cheaper than the APRA funds. And the good thing about it is, if you have your cover with an APRA fund, you can move it into our product up to $2 million of death and TPD or $20,000 a month income protection.
Okay. Now, I guess the question my viewers will be asking, well, what about the quality of the insurance? You can get a good price, but how would you rate the quality of it?
Well, some products out there have what we call a PEC, a pre-existing condition clause. We don't have that. This is full cover. So if you're dead, you're dead. If you're TPD'd, you're TPD'd. And if you can't follow your occupation, your IP kicks in. Okay. So it's as good as you get. Okay, great. Now, Olivia, go back to you. Now, you guys recently introduced a thing called a Macquarie Separately Managed Account. Now, a lot of people in the real world wouldn't know what in the hell this is, so explain it.
Okay, so essentially an SMA replaces your traditional managed fund. Yeah. Primary difference being that with an SMA, the SMSF itself or the underlying trustees have direct ownership of the assets, which means for members in pension mode, they get to recognise the full benefit of any franking credits associated with the investments that they hold within that SMA. Yeah. So basically, for SMSF trustees who want to establish their own fund, invest and have a fund manager manage the investments and actually advise them where to put that money, they can do so using the Macquarie SMA product that we've used for our platform. And to give you an indication of their performance, for the 30 June period to 2013, they obtained a rate of return of 36%. So if you're comparing, your 3.4% with your retail funds to working with a fund manager obtaining 36%, for me it's a bit of a no-brainer. Now,
some people, do SMAs and they might select 20 dividend-paying stocks and they have the choice to take them in and out. Do you have that kind of flexibility with this one?
You do, yes.
You do.
Yep.
So you can either take the template one created by Macquarie,
absolutely,
or you can actually say I want 50% of Macquarie, but the other 50% I want to select my own stock. So there's a lot of flexibility within it.
There is, and some people, look, they have philosophies around what stocks they will and won't ethically invest in, such as gaming. If you want to put a clause that there's certain things you don't want to deal in either, that's fine. Macquarie will assist you with that.
Okay. Any other issues around insurance? Because a lot of people here haven't thought it through. Obviously, you're trying to create a product that people are going to love. What are other issues around insurance should people consider when they're comparing various policies?
I mean, up until now, how group insurance works, most of the life companies need at least 50 members before they're interested in a group plan. We do have a facility we can go down to 10 members, but the SMSF will never have more than 4 members. So you can't get a true group policy for that one SMSF. But when we aggregate them all, that's how we created this opportunity. So our eligibility criteria, if you like, is you have to have an SMSF and be a member of an SMSF. Then you can get access to this product we have. So it's specifically built for SMSFs, but it's under a group arrangement, so you're getting wholesale rates. We don't get into the advice space, but we have over 100 SMSF providers, accountants, IFAs who have registered with us using our product. So they can still give advice. Some come some elect to come in under a no advice model, whereas some want to use this under an advice model. So you can use our product either way.
It's all online?
It's all online.
Okay. So Olivia, were there any other issues in that survey that's come out that you think might have spooked some self-managed super fund people and need to be hosed down a little bit?
I think the comments about investing in property disappoint me. I think there are people out there who love property and who've had significant gains over longer term periods investing in property. And I think for younger investors like myself who might decide to establish a fund and invest in property for a 30, 40-year period, I think they're going to see good returns. So I don't have any issues whatsoever with
they seem to be throwing the baby out with the bathwater on the basis that because there's property spookers getting involved, therefore property is not a sensible allocation of your assets. But I say if you've got, say, 500,000 in your super and you want to use 200,000 of it and borrow 100,000, that's not a really risky strategy at all, is it?
I'm not a financial planner.
Well, I
like you,
am.
so I can't
I am.
suggest it.
Well,
But
I'd say no.
Yeah, I got to say, I think that's the part that really worries me, is that as long as you do the homework around, is this going to be a very easy place to rent, and you're going to sit on it maybe for 20, 30 years as a young person could, it could be a fantastic investment.
agreed. Someone 65 purchasing property and that's all they have,
Yeah.
you know, I'd
No,
reconsider.
exactly right. Thanks for joining us on the program, guys.
Thank you.
So if you want to read my thoughts each morning at the close of Wall Street, check out my website, switzer.com.au. And if you've got a self-managed super fund, have a look at the switzersuperreport.com.au website. And if you've got any questions for me or ones for our guests, email me switzer@skynews.com.au. I'm Peter Switzer. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night.